When you're as successful as PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, you're bound to inspire some imitators, and that's certainly the case with Fortnite Battle Royale, Epic Games' free-to-play Battle Royale game with a base-building twist. Now, recently there's been a lot of talk about whether or not FBR copies the PUBG formula, and to be honest with you all, it does. Shamelessly. But there are some clear differences which make both games feel quite unique. So if you're confused about what each game has to offer or want to know which one is best for you, sit back and relax because I'm about to explain the 9 big differences between Brendan's Battlegrounds and Fortnite Battle Royale. Right now, PUBG is available to buy in early access on Steam for about £27. At some point in the future though, possibly around Christmas time, maybe early next year, it will be ported to the Xbox One thanks to a partnership with Microsoft. It would make sense for PUBG to make the jump to PS4 as well, but that day could be a very long time off, and no one has ever officially confirmed that this will happen, so don't get your hopes up too soon, PlayStation owners. On the flip side of the coin, we have FBR, which has just gone free to play on PC, PS4 and Xbox One. There is also a cooperative PvE mode for Fortnite called Save the World, but it's still in early access, you need to pay to play it, and as far as I can tell, no one really cares about it, so expect to hear less about that and much more about the Battle Royale mode, especially as it's currently hot on PUBG's heels in terms of Twitch viewers. The look and feel of PUBG is grounded in realism. It's set on an abandoned Crimean island, it looks gritty, all the guns and vehicles are modelled on or based on real-life counterparts, and the character models all look relatively realistic. Hell, even the way they ragdoll when you kill them looks authentic. Not that I've ever seen anyone get shot point blank in the face with a shotgun before, that is. And then there's Fortnite Battle Royale. Everything about FBR screams Saturday morning cartoon, from the cel-shaded characters, the bright, colourful environments, to the way the scenery wobbles as it takes damage from gunfire or pickaxes. It's all very whimsical. The player avatars themselves are slightly more exaggerated than the ones in PUBG, with more defined muscles or bigger curves, and when they die, their body is automatically teleported away, leaving their murderer with a big glowing pile of loot to pick through. Don't let this light-hearted facade fool you though, the last man standing gameplay is every bit as brutal here as it is in PUBG, and the closing moments of FBR's matches can be just as palm-sweatingly tense. Every good Battle Royale game needs a big map, and whilst FBR's might seem considerably smaller than Erangel, PUBG's 8x8km island, it makes up for it with locations and buildings that are much more varied and interesting than PUBG's. Sure, FBR's towns and villages are tiny when compared to those of Erangel, but instead of PUBG's copy and pasted buildings, in FBR you get fun things to explore like mazes, farms, and even a toilet factory. Whilst I couldn't find an exact size for FBR's map, it's definitely quicker to get across on foot than Erangel, and because of this you won't find yourself dying to the storm, FBR's ever-decreasing circle, as often as you'll die to the gas in PUBG. This is probably for the best though, as so far there are no vehicles in FBR, compared to the 6 or so on offer in Battlegrounds. The smaller map also means faster matches. Playing a full game up until the final circle in FBR will take about 20 minutes compared to PUBG's 30+, and the way the safe zone constricts in FBR feels much faster. At the same time, queuing up for the lobby and getting into matches in FBR seems a bit slower than this process does in PUBG, although not by a huge amount. Combat-wise, it also seems much easier to die in FBR, but I put this down to the fact that people seem to play it more like an arcade shooter than they do PUBG, whose players seem to think more tactically and spend more time moving stealthily from cover to cover. Undoubtedly, the biggest difference between the two games is the ability in FBR to quickly build structures, defences and traps on the fly. At first, the way you do this can seem quite overwhelming, especially on controller, but once you get the hang of it, building small sniper towers or ramps up to hard-to-reach places can be done pretty easily. The fact that you can also quickly edit in doors and windows to your structure is also really neat, and I can only imagine the immense fortresses a squad of 4 competent builders could create. People tend not to build much during the early minutes of the game though. The race to collect good loot is all-consuming. Not only that, but you'll also need to break down objects first in order to gain materials with which to craft with, so it's best to hold off building anything complicated until you're closer to the end of the match, and preferably on some kind of high ground vantage point. Of course, there's nothing like this in PUBG at all, so anyone migrating to FBR from PUBG will need to learn a bunch of new tactics, something that feels rather welcome and refreshing after pumping 300+ hours into Brendan Green's game like I have. Following on from this point, pretty much everything in FBR's world is destructible. As I mentioned in the previous point, you'll need to smash things with your pickaxe to get crafting components, but you can also use the destructible scenery to your advantage in combat. If a player builds themselves a piece of cover, shoot it down. If they're hiding behind a tree, shoot that down. If they've built themselves a little sniper tower, put a spike trap below them and knock the bottom out like this guy did. The tactical possibilities are endless when you can create your own flanking routes or fortifications, and doing this successfully is bloody good fun. In PUBG, the only destructible items are doors, a few broken down shacks and some fences. Anything metallic or brick-based is impervious to damage. That's more realistic than being able to shoot down a tree with a couple of assault rifle rounds, of course, but the way FBR works means you're hardly ever able to let your guard down. A Battle Royale game without weapons wouldn't be that much fun. I mean, it would probably be like a 100-man match of gang beasts, so maybe it would be fun. But either way, PUBG has weapons, and so does FBR. There's a big difference in how they work though. In PUBG, you pick up weapons off the floor and then customize them with various attachments, also looted from the floor. These attachments might steady your gun's recoil, make it fire more rounds, or maybe give you the edge as a sniper with a telescopic sight. In FBR, you just get guns and ammo. No messing around with attachments. Your gun either comes with a scope or it doesn't. And more often than not, it doesn't. Instead, guns are sorted into 5 types of rarities, with grey being common, green uncommon, blue rare, purple epic, and orange legendary. The rarer the gun, the better it is, such as the sniper rifle or the silenced assault rifle. Just like PUBG, the loot spawns are random, so you'll never be sure what you'll get, but keep an ear out for the chime of a loot chest. More often than not, there'll be something extra lovely waiting for you inside. Where FBR falls well behind on PUBG is character customization. Whilst PUBG allows you to create and dress your avatar however you see fit, albeit with a limited selection of crappy clothes, in FBR you get no choice over your avatar at all. You'll be assigned a random avatar at the start of each match, with no say over gender, race or outfit. You don't earn cosmetic loot boxes in FBR either, so if you can't get enough of grinding for miniskirts, you're going to need to stick with PUBG. Finally, it's a little bit easier to kill people in FBR. In PUBG, players have the ability to hide for long periods of time without being spotted. They can lie down in the long grass and shuffle their way to victory, they can wear camo and disappear into the trees, or they can cower in a bathtub for 90% of the match. In FBR, you can't go prone at all, so there's no lying down in bushes, and you stand out a mile away on the bright green grass, so someone who would have been impossible to spot in PUBG would be easy to pinpoint in FBR. Not only that, but most guns in FBR have tracer bullets, so you can see exactly where the shots are coming from and return fire. The biggest difference here, though, happens when people sprint. In PUBG, all that happens when you sprint is that you make a bit more noise, a bit like real life, really. In FBR, though, sprinters leave a cartoony dust trail behind them, which really telegraphs where they are from a distance, especially if they're running about in the open. So there we go, those were the major differences between PUBG and FBR. Whilst I still think PUBG is the better game, the more I play FBR, the more I like it. Especially now I can play it on console with a controller, so every fifth death isn't from me trying to find the M key on my keyboard. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like, perhaps subscribe to Eurogamer for daily video game videos, check out some of these videos on screen right now, and most importantly, do have a lovely day. Goodbye.